So this might sound crazy to a lot of people, but I've actually figured out a way to spend only 10 minutes per day dieting and lose weight consistently week after week after week. And this is the exact same thing that I did when I first got started, which took me from where I was back then in 2012 to consistently staying in shape over the last, 12 years now, looking like what I do like now, and only spending a little bit of time per week, not spending hours in the gym or hours doing cardio or hours constructing a diet. I just simply do what I'm about to share inside this video, so then that way you can go ahead and take these exact same things and go ahead and use them for yourself and your own stats and your own goals to go ahead and reach those. So it's a very, very simple thing. Doesn't mean it's easy. There's a big difference between something being simple and something being easy. Something that's simple is easy to understand and easy to process. Something that is easy is low effort, doesn't take a lot of energy to do. And with this dieting method, it is pretty easy to understand, but it's gonna take time, it's gonna take effort, it's gonna take consistency. So if you're willing to do that, keep watching because I'll show you exactly what to do. So what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna go ahead on my phone and we're gonna pop up on the screen right now exactly what we gotta do. We're gonna pop open this app, it's completely free, it's called MyFitnessPal. And so what we're gonna do is inside MyFitnessPal, the first thing you wanna do is go ahead and set your goals. So we're gonna go over to the More tab, we're gonna go over to goals, which makes perfect sense. We're gonna go ahead and click the starting weight. Currently I'm 166.2 pounds, so we're gonna go over and set that to that. Just for sake of context, I actually started at 196, and I had no arms, and now I still don't have big arms, but they're a lot bigger than when I started, and I'm a lot leaner. So anyway, that aside, we're gonna go ahead and check that. We're gonna set our, let's just for the sake of this here, we're gonna change our goal weight. We're gonna set it down to, let's just say I wanna get back down to a much leaner 160, which we're gonna set that there. We're gonna set our weekly goal to lose 1 pound per week. We're gonna set that there, because anything more than that is very difficult to stick to. And with losing weight, the harder you make it for yourself, or the more big the goal is, the more drastic the goal is, the more likely it is that you're gonna fall off. So we're gonna keep it nice and simple. You could even start with 1/2 pound per week, which does not sound like a lot. I totally understand that, but it helps you build the habits and build the skills so that when you go to 1 pound per week, it's much, much easier. But I think for most people, they can handle the deficit that we have to create to lose 1 pound per week. And then we're gonna also set our activity level. Now this is a tricky thing, because with activity level, who really decides what not very active, which they changed from calling it sedentary, which I find interesting, versus lightly active versus active versus very active. What does that even mean? Well, I've discovered a way to kind of make this easier to decide. Now, the best thing to do is go over and check your daily average step count. And when you check your daily average step count in like the Health app, for example, if you're somewhere between 0 and 3,000 steps, doesn't really matter what you're doing for workouts, you're gonna be in the not very active category. 3,000 to 6,000, you're probably gonna be in that lightly active category unless you're working out 5-6 times a week and doing extra cardio on top of that. But if you're doing extra cardio, typically your step count's gonna be even higher. However, somewhere in that, somewhere between that 6,000 and 10,000 is gonna be active, and then over 10,000 by a considerable amount, probably gonna be at very active, generally speaking. And now a big part of this is your job, your workout schedule, and everything else you do across each and every day. And if you have any physical hobbies like swimming or dancing or sports of any kind, you're probably gonna have to adjust it based on that. But you can take the best educated guess using this here. So for example, for me, I work a sales job, not doing a whole ton on my feet. Like I may put together product packages every once in a while, and I'll walk around the showroom and everything like that. But beside that, I'm not really doing a ton of steps. And as far as my workouts, I work out for about 30 to maybe 45 minutes if I'm taking a more casual approach and making sure I'm getting my rest times in 3 times a week. That's it. So I am definitely in that lightly active category. However, I have a little bit further testing on my own self, so I kind of know where my calories need to be. But for the sake of example, we're gonna start off with lightly active. And then what we're gonna wanna do is go ahead and set up the calorie, carbohydrates, protein, and fat goals. And that goal is definitely not correct. We're gonna set that back to lightly active, and hopefully it updates this here. Oh, I see, I'm in airplane mode. We're gonna go ahead and do this one more time. being in airplane mode, I guess, does not let you update things. So we're gonna set this back to lightly active one more time, and there we go. So we had the 2650 calorie goal. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, so I figured it out. I figured it out here. For whatever reason, it updated to gain 0.5 pounds per week. We're gonna change that to lose 1 pound per week. Lightly active, we're gonna set that to lightly active. And then for me, this sounds a little bit crazy because I'm 5'11", 165 pounds. In order to lose 1 pound per week, according to MyFitnessPal, we're looking at 1,900 calories per day. This doesn't sound like a lot, but it's pretty close to what I've noticed for myself to lose about 1 pound a week. My own testing, which a lot of this is, but it gets you a good starting point, is figuring out where your calorie range is based on your exact lifestyle. And this is why online coaching exists and programs and stuff that help you go into more detail on this. But for the sake of this test here, we're gonna go ahead and set it to 1,900. That's pretty good. But we also wanna update another thing. With protein, it sets you to 20%, which puts you at 95 grams of protein per day. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're not getting at least 120 grams per day, you probably need to up that absolutely immediately. So since this one's setting it to 119, I think that's close enough. But I think going over to 143 is not unreasonable for most people. But for the sake of this, we'll set it to 119 because it's close enough to that 120 goal and just making sure that you're over 120. And then for fat, that's a little on the lower side for a lot of people, not everyone, than what I like. So we're gonna go ahead and lower the carbs. And these numbers I'm not a huge fan of. I'd rather just set it to a specific calorie goal and specific protein goal. But for the sake of this, we're gonna leave it there. And then now, everything should be all up to date. There's also another thing you need to do, which I probably should have gone over first, but it's something that happens when you set up your account, is you go into settings and profile, make sure you have your height in there, your gender in there, and everything else that you need, so then that way it can calculate all the other stuff for the calorie amounts. And then once you have all that set, you have your goal set, you have everything set, you go back to the dashboard, you go add food, and then from here, this is where you're gonna go ahead and spend your 10 minutes per day dieting. And this might sound a little bit clickbaity now that I'm talking about what I'm talking about, but once this is set up, it is super, super easy to do. And what's gonna happen is you're gonna actually have multiple meals. I just set one meal, it's called food, but the default way is perfectly fine too. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and add the breakfast that I had, which is a very weird one. Don't judge me on this, or you can if you want. It doesn't really matter, I'm gonna eat it anyway. But I had 8 club crackers and 2 slices of cheddar cheese. I might have to make like a short or something like that on this, which is such a weird thing. It's like club cracker nachos. Yeah, I'm probably gonna make a video to explain what the heck I'm talking about. But you add that, you add cheddar cheese, and boom. My first meal of the day was exactly 300 calories. And now you can check nutrition and see that it was 20 grams of fat, 10 grams of protein, 18 grams of carbs. Not necessarily an optimal meal. However, when we go on from that, what we do is we want to add in what we're going to have next. So after that, I'm probably going to have 3 eggs. I don't know why I typed in 3. You just type in eggs, not the quantity, and you add the quantity later. So large eggs right there. I'm going to have 3 of those. Sounds a little consistent compared to what I had before because it's already in there. And we're also going to have 2 slices of cheddar. A little bit of a fan of cheddar cheese if you haven't guessed yet. And then we're also going to have just 2 servings of ketchup because I decided to. Then what we're going to have after that is, I haven't quite decided yet, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to have Perdue chicken nuggets, which, yes, my entire family loves them and they're super delicious and they're actually pretty decent ingredients as well. So we're going to go ahead and have 8 of those. And we're also going to have some barbecue sauce. And then that's going to be my lunch. Don't really need a side, don't really need much else. That's pretty much what I'm going to have there. And then for dinner, I'm going to have chicken tenderloins, which is absolutely delicious, super easy to make, super delicious. I don't know the weight on the package that I'm going to be cooking, but typically speaking, I have between 6 and 7 ounces. So we're going to put, for the sake of this right now, we're going to have 7 and save that there, and I can update that later, but at least gives me the idea what I'm going to do. I'm going to have some carrots, about 100 grams of those, which I do have a food scale to measure that. And then we're also going to do, let's see, we're going to have possibly some rice. I may split an entire cup of these microwave rices. That sounds weird. Split that with my daughter. And then, let's see, after that, we're gonna have some strawberry yogurt and blueberries. And now we're gonna see where we end up and then what we'll have to adjust. And wow, I amaze even myself. So we're looking at 1881 for calories, 19 remaining. Not gonna stress about those 19 calories whatsoever. We're gonna adjust the quantities as we go through the day and just see where that chicken ends up. If it ends up being 8 ounces or even 9 ounces, it's really not that big of a deal. So you'll go ahead and put 9 ounces in there, 247 calories, 36 calories over. However, with something like chicken tenderloins, it's almost entirely protein. So our protein, well, let's just go ahead and put that back to 7. So we're at 7 ounces. So let's see what our calories and protein and all that are. So we're at, again, the 1881 calories. We have 130 grams of protein, which is good for me and my goals, 78 grams of fat, and 164 grams of carbs. Now, this doesn't sound like a lot of calories, and it is not. However, again, we're trying to lose 1 pound per week. And your numbers are gonna be different than mine. They may be lower, they may be higher, depends on your activity level and all that kind of stuff. And with that said, that's it. That's all I do. And that didn't even take me 10 minutes. It took me, well, probably about 12 with trying to do the video stuff at the same time. But that's all I do. And a lot of the times I'll end up eating very similar food. So I'll just go ahead and doop. And then it takes me about 3 minutes to do. And other days where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go out to eat, I maybe plan a little bit ahead and kind of move things around a little bit. And maybe I'll have a little bit more here, a little bit less here so I can fit this food in. If I wanna go to McDonald's and have 2 McDoubles, I'm not gonna be doing that on a diet. So maybe I'll have 1 McDouble and a small fry and then make sure I hit my protein before and after that. So it's a lot of playing around with the overall diet, but that's all it is. It takes 10 minutes a day once you get the hang of it, and that's it. And the cool thing is, like I just showed you, I only had to go ahead and click those buttons as I went down the list because of things that already popped up that I've eaten consistently, and I just consistently eat those things. Now, for me, I'm actually bulking, so I'm eating 2,700 calories a day, even up to 3,000, and I'm barely gaining weight. But that's a whole different discussion for maybe another video if you're trying to gain weight. But for the sake of this, that's all you do. Very simple. And I actually have a program that goes into a little bit more detail on how to do this, as well as workout programs, cardio, supplementation, all the things you need to know of what to do and what to avoid so you can get consistent results week after week. And I support you along the way in the program through the community. So if you want to go ahead and check that out, click the link below and we'll send you over to gainswithgabe.com/program and I'll see you there. Thanks so much for watching and go ahead and check out more of my videos.